welcome on in. It's me, Crystal, also known as Skuldsbane, all over the interwebs and all the social medias. All that's linked down below. Also, my email address is skuldsbane@gmail.com. Makes it easy to remember. Like I said, welcome in. Welcome back if you're a returning visitor. I do appreciate you coming back in. Warms my little heart. For those of you who are new here, this is going to be one of my flosstube weeks. I have started, as of now, I'm starting to do every other week as a flosstube, so this is going to be, I think it's flosstube 7, I don't know. I lost count, I'm not tracking it that well. So I'm going to be talking today about the cross stitch that I've been doing, some of the plans that I have, some of the stitch alongs that are coming up, the people that I've been watching on YouTube, a couple of people that have done shoutouts or mentions of the hashtags, little things that are going on within the community that are just a lot of fun that either I'm participating in or I would like to and I'm not able to this year for a multitude of reasons. So with that being said, to heck with all the rest of it, let's get into the immediate stitchy stuff. You will have to forgive me, I have started tracking. I have an ancient journal book that I found. It was from I don't know, 2001, 2002, something like that, and I've started tracking all my stitching. So if you see me looking down and here flipping pages, that's what it is. I'm double checking my stats because having them written down is much easier than flipping back and forth on a tablet or anything else. And just the way that my computer is set up, it's easier to do this than to have it on a screen. So I apologize now. First thing up, I was talking about this last time as being this is something that I want to finish by Halloween. It's not going to get done. Let's be honest about that. This is Baba Yaga's hut. And I apologize also for everything rolling. I stitch in hand and I don't press. You'll see it pressed when it's a finished object. But this is Baba Yaga's hut. It is done by Raven Stitchcraft. I did the charting. This is on a 16 count white Aida using all the calls for DMC. As of right now, it is at 79.1% complete with 56,392 out of 71,288 stitches completed. Ooh, sorry about that. What I was working on was kind of up in here, putting in a lot of the grays on the roof line, in the trees on this side, and just filling in. I did a little bit more in the ground down here at the bottom, but the hut, the top of the hut and the roof line is really starting to take shape. I'm kind of proud of that. I've really been enjoying working on this, but I also do tend to like darker stitches that tend to be more, even if they're not monochromatic, they tend to have a limited color palette. I'm branching out though. You're going to be seeing some of that here before too long. That I'm branching out and starting to bring more colors in, especially with some of the plans. If I can get it kitted up, I got a chart from Heaven and Earth Designs. It's what is it? The Beauty in the Underworld, and then a whole bunch of steampunk bugs that are like grays and yellows, and they're all, again, a fairly limited palette, but I think there's like 10 or 12 colors in it. But I love them. Love them. Love, love, love. I didn't get as much work done on that one because this next one ate my brain, and I don't know why. It could be that the top half that I've been working on is done in tent stitch or half stitch, but I've been working on this stocking. Focus. Good job, little camera. And it's just a kit. I'm using all of the things that came in the kit. Nothing fancy, nothing big. And this is where I have gotten with it. Now, 2 weeks ago when I pulled this out, yes, I know there's a thread on there. It's hanging. I apologize. It's threaded and ready to finish up that sky bit, or a large part of the sky bit. 2 weeks ago when we saw this for the first time, all I had done was the houses down here. So all of this has been done, and I was just working on this just this week. So I sat down, and like I said, it ate my brain. And that's all that I worked on for like 2 days, was just filling this in. And I was loving it. I don't know. Sometimes it's what satisfies the little brain gremlins and all the little weasels running around up in there. And I've gotten quite a bit done on that. This is one of, there's going to be 5 stockings total. I have the kits for all 5 of them. It's going to be one for myself, one for the man thing who is my partner, and then one for his sister, and then one for each of his parents. And they will all be going over to his parents' house, because that's where we hold the celebration, Christmas celebration, every year. And his mom has been talking about, I've been needing to buy stockings for the last like 6 or 7 years, and it's never going to happen, so I'm just replacing them. I'm stitching them and replacing them just to get it done and out of the way. Next is, let's see, I've been working on the Creepy Christmas Village, and this was a stitch along, and this is the last ornament that I'm working on. You can't really see it much. This is a start, a new start. You can't really see it much, but this is going to end up being Ebenezer Scrooge's grave with the 3 Christmas spirits. You can see the red beard. And there's yet to come of Christmas past. Christmas present is like right here. You can start to see some of the red coming in there. And then Christmas yet to come is this guy over here. I've been working on these in between, or had been working on these in between calls at work, where we would have enough time to get like 5 or 10 stitches in between calls when it slowed down for the day. That's not happening anymore for reasons, which I touched on previously, and I will talk about again closer to the end with the life stuff. But if that had been continuing, this probably would have been finished by now. They're quick, they're easy. I mean, this is the size of them. They're small, but they're creepy, and I love them. These are the things that stay at my house and don't get taken to the in-laws, because they just would not appreciate the creepy. No creepy Christmas over there. None. Okay. Next is some of the things for, I have 3 more pieces. The next 2 are for hashtag Lina Ova Sal. LINAOVASAL is a start along, stitch along that Laura from Stitching by the Shore and I are hosting. Thank you, by the way. Those missing stitches is also a part of this. She was a part of inspiring Laura to start the stitch along, start the hashtag, and she asked me about it, and I'm like, yes, let's do this, and there it is. Laura is doing this one as well. This is the Lina Ova Mary Poppins. Now she is doing this without the border. I'm keeping the border in it because I love the borders. They are just gorgeous, but they do add, I mean, it literally doubles the stitch count to keep the borders in. Last time you saw this, I was just starting with Bert. This is Bert flying above, as the chimney sweep flying above the City of London. Let me go ahead and fold this. Yep, folded a little too much. Adjust. There we go. But I had just started with Bert, so I had like the top of his sweep and part of his head. So I finished the outline here and put in, I had part of that plant, so I put in that plant and the little stars and some of the buildings. This will be filled in with the building here. I've got that building and the umbrella here and another star. There's going to be a moon up here and some more stars. Now I had an oopsie. Some days I can't count, and when I started putting Bert in, I couldn't count. So he is off. He's off to one, I think it's off to one side by 2 stitches and down by 1, or over by 1 and down by 2, something like that. So I actually had to fiddle with where that meets up with the umbrella there. The umbrella is supposed to be completely separate, and I just kind of fudged where his leg runs into it so that you can see the entire thing. This is being done on a Whim 16 count pistachio Aida with DMC 939, and it's 2/1. Let's see, as of today's date, I am 13.01% complete with 5,348 out of 41,101 stitches done. So like I said, it does, adding the border in, keeping the borders in adds a lot of stitches. So, but I do love it. I do love it. I also love what Laura is doing, and by taking the border off, they're lovely that way as well, and much smaller, much easier to handle. I'm thinking, because I do like Lena Ova's designs so much, that's why I'm doing 2 of them right now. But I'm thinking the next one I'm going to try to go ahead and take the border off and see if I like that better. Well, also the next one that's coming up, Dracula, is the other one that I've been working on, and I miscalculated. I'm using Night Stalker's Calling floss in the colorway Hocus Pocus on this, and I miscalculated. I got 10 skeins. I should have gotten 11 or maybe 12. So I'm going to have to figure out, and I'm not sure. I'm questioning, because I'm going to have like that much Cheyenne enough. So I'm questioning whether I should go ahead and purchase another skein and just kind of work it in, whether I should do the complete border and the complete piece and have certain parts of like maybe the silhouette of Dracula in completely black, or like a couple of things and just have a couple of things completely black, or whether I should do the borders, like I've already started coming down the side, so do the full side of the border all the way down, and then the full side of the border over here all the way down, and then leave part of the top and bottom out. I don't know. I'm sure this is something that I'll figure out as I go, but any input, please give me input. Give me suggestions. What would you do with this? Here, I'll hold it over here, what I have so far, and then I'll put the picture up over here again so that you can kind of compare, and I'll leave it up for a few seconds so you can see and kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. And like I said, any suggestions, what you think would work best, I'm open. I'm open to it. But I have been working on this. This one actually got quite a bit of work as well. Let me go ahead and unfold it a little bit. I know you've seen this fabric before if you've watched, but oh, I love it. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Look at how freaking gorgeous this is. Look at that. And it's actually showing fairly true. If I can hold it. I can't hold anything straight, but it's showing fairly true to color here with about the correct modeling and everything. But I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. This is Olympia Opal Lugana 32 count from Mystic Fabrics. This is the first time, and I've said this every time I pull this out, this is the first time working on opal, my first time working on Lugana, and I just love the way it feels. With stitching in hand, it is just about perfect for being about the right stiffness, and just really what I enjoy working on. And as compared to like the 8/8 in the kit for the stockings, I remember after I pulled those out, started working on it, I remembered why I stopped working on kits. And a lot of it has to do with the 8/8 being just so stiff. It's hard to work with for me because I don't work in a hoop. But that's where that one's gotten. And this is also a part of the hashtag Lena Ova Sal. It is currently sitting at, I should have told you this, 9.56% with 3,524 stitches out of 36,856 stitches complete. And the last one that I worked on over this past 2 weeks is the Boomerang Stitches Great White Christmas, which I am doing for the man thing. I showed him the pattern and he said, no, you're getting that. He like, how much is it? I don't care. You know what? I'll pay for it. You're getting that. Okay. We spoil each other as much as we can. And this is being done on, where did you go? I know it's a 40 count and it's a mystery blue. This is what I'm talking about, flipping pages. Oh, my pity's sake, where did you go? I know you're in here. Don't tell me you're not in here. I wrote it. There you are. This is a Forbidden Fabric Co. 40 count linen. Came from just a sampler pack. So there is no colorway, specific colorway or anything like that. I'm working on it with Gentle Arts Roasted Marshmallow. 1/2 full cross. And the last time you saw it, this side had not been filled in yet. It was just at the top of the boat. But now you can see where the shark's snout is. He's got an eyeball. He's got like the little nostril hole, whatever they're called in sharks. I don't know. And this is the entire width of it. So that is as wide as this is getting. I have no idea what the stitch count is. I have no idea what percentage is complete because I'm working off of a paper pattern. The pattern itself, when you put it into Pattern Keeper, you're supposed to stitch the blue and leave the white, and the white is supposed to be the fabric. Since I'm doing it backwards, I'm having to work off of the paper pattern and mark off, and I just use a highlighter to mark off the bits that I've completed. Let me I will show you the tiniest glimpse of where the shark is. I just use a highlighter to mark it off. know that was not supposed to show you anything. That's not enough of the chart to be able to do anything with it. Boomerang Stitches also just does amazing, amazing work. I love their charts. This is just, look at it. Just look at it. It's amazing. So that is the stitching that I have accomplished this week. Oh, I'm sorry, the last 2 weeks. I actually got more done than I was expecting to for various reasons. I did also do quite a bit of organization and plotting evil, terrible, horrible things. Or at least they will be evil, terrible, and horrible when I start making a mess with them. Let's be honest here. This is my state of being right here. I live in a space about this big. There's 2 of us living in less than 800 square feet. There's not a lot of rooms, especially since we are both crafters. There's just not. On one of the upcoming videos, I'll actually take you, if I could talk, my goodness, I will take you through a walkthrough of the entire apartment, if that's something you're interested in, with the exception of the man things. Hiccups. Excuse me. With the exception of the Man-Thing's desk, which he has specifically requested nobody see, and it's left out of my videos, so that's not. Out of respect, I'm not going to do that. Because we do respect each other, and we respect each other's wishes. So if that's something you're interested in, that's absolutely something I could do. Also, as kind of a before and after thing, I've been trying to do some work with trying to get things cleaned up and more organized and purging some stuff and taking a lot of stuff to Goodwill and plans. What do we have coming up? We have coming up a little bit later in the month. There is the Autumn's Joyful Sal that's coming up, that's being put on by the Hugo Stitcher and somebody else that I can never remember. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm just terrible with names. I'm terrible with names of channels. I'm terrible with names of people. My other half's name is Joe. It took me 6 months of living with him to get his name right in my head, which doesn't sound like a whole lot. And it sounds funny. It gets even funnier because his name is Joe. He's Joe the 4th. So his name is Joe, his dad's name is Joe, his grandfather's name is Joe, his great-grandfather's name was Joe. My dad's name is Joe. My grandfather's name was Joe. And my sister's name is Joanne, and she used to go by Joe. You would think that it would stick, but no, that's just how bad with the names I am. So I'm sorry, I'm not trying to offend, it just is. But that's coming up, and that's coming up quickly. That is all kitted up, and I'm ready to go with that. I have that actually written down in my little book. It's right, where did it go? That's right here. Leela's Studio, Autumn's is Joyful. I have a simple setup for these. And I have the linen is the 37 count Cloudburst Legacy linen. And the floss I'm using is mostly Anchor with a couple of DMCs because Anchor was on sale the day that we went to go pick up the information goodness. The supplies for this one. So that's what's going on, and that's coming up. I also have, I asked in the previous flosstube which one of the Mirabilia kits y'all thought would be better for me to start. I didn't get any answers. They're also not kitted up. I don't have any of the DMCs. So that's on pause temporarily. I also have a piece of linen that is earmarked for the who's it? The Jardin Privé. Had to look at it. The Jardin Privé seasons, the spring, summer, fall, winter, the samplers, the larger ones. Let me see if I can pull. I'll stick it up here. You'll know which ones they are. But I'm going to do them all as one continuous piece. So I have the linen, and I need to figure out what color or colors I'd like to do that in. I'm thinking if I can afford it, I'd really like to do that in a silk. Just because I've never worked an entire piece in silk, only bits and pieces. And I think that would be just a really cool thing to do. So there is that. I've also been asking about for the steampunk insects. If anybody has any ideas for fabric for these, and they'll go up here. You'll see them. I'm just going to use all of the called fors, all the DMCs, and like I said, I think there's like 12 colors altogether. And so I want to get those kitted up, and I want to get started on those. I also have the unicorn poop fabric for the Bride of Frankenstein that I want to do. I have the chart. It's right here, but I need to get it kitted up. Actually, does anybody have a resource for not necessarily cones of floss, but like the boxes of 10 or 12 skeins? Because at this point, honestly, I'm going to get a cone of black. I'm going to get a cone of white. I'm going to, excuse me. You know, there are a few that I just really honestly need to get a cone and be done with it. But for some of the other colors, like the yellows in the steampunk, and like the greens and a couple of the pinks, and I'm not going to use them that often that I can see, or at least I don't really have any plans to use them. So if anybody has any resources where I can get the boxes of, the 10, 12 skeins, that would be amazing. Let me know. Please let me know. That would be just mind-blowing me. Great. All right. People that I have been watching, there are two in particular that I want to give a shout out to because they're brand new. One has one floss tube out, and the other one has two because he put the second one out before I recorded this. The first one that has one floss tube out is Maddie Kitty Stitch, and all of these, they're going to be linked. Everybody I mentioned is going to be linked down below. I try to link everything, so. But Maddie Kitty Stitch is just getting started. She is so cute. She's like been married for less than a year and taking off. I'm going on this new journey of this new phase in her life, and it's just so precious. But she's very much, this is the cross stitch, with mention of other things kind of in the background. And the other one is Stewart's in Stitches, who is from Scotland and has some of the most amazing pieces and some of the most amazing fabric. If I could afford the overseas shipping for some of the fabric, I would absolutely get it. It's just not happening right now. But just, and I get a giggle because his partner goes down into the garage and works out while he's doing the videos. So about halfway through each of the videos, you can hear the music starting to come through. And I sat there giggling through the entire just because. I don't know. I found it to be funny. I also looked up, let's see, and I was watching The Tiny Modernist. Those Missing Stitches, obviously. Museum Stitcher. The Steadfast Stitcher. Dark X Stitch, who just does mind-blowing work. Mind-blowing. Elizabeth Savory, the New England Stitcher. D's 20 Stitches. The Camping Stitcher. Helen D. Crow Stitcher. Lala D. and Stitching by the Shore. And those have been the floss tubes that I've watched over the last 2 weeks. True crime has also eaten my brain again. I was sitting there working on Christmas stockings while listening to terrible, horrible true crime, because that's what happens sometimes. I don't know. My brain just works that way. That's it for the stitching stuff, I think. I did manage to get all of my patterns into Pattern Keeper finally, which I don't know how much you can see, but I just transferred all of them, finally got them all transferred onto Pattern Keeper. So I don't have many yet, but considering I'm just getting back into this after years and ages away, you know, I'm starting back. We'll get there. Of the Heaven and Earth Designs one, where is it? There we go. Ooh, sorry, glare. That is the Heaven and Earth Designs that I want to get kitted up and get going. It is just so 100% my aesthetic. You would never be able to guess it from this, and you would never be able to guess it from looking at the apartment, because there's only so much I can do in an apartment. But that's my jam right there. And there's only 96 colors in it. No big deal. It'll get done. I have faith in me. That is it for the stitchy stuff. Real life, other things aside from cross stitch. So, I'm gonna take a sip drink. I apologize. I just can't. The hiccups are coming back. Oh. Real life stuff. The Man Thing started his new job yesterday. Was his first day. And they've already sent him home with the emergency work from home laptop. He's got that all set up. He's in good. Absolutely no problems. Like, they're gonna have him. He's gonna learn the systems that they use, and they're gonna have him doing his own stuff by the end of the month. Like, no questions asked. He's also told them that my department or my job title was completely liquidated, and I got laid off due to them deciding to outsource overseas. So they're now looking at my resume where he works, which would be amazing. I had an interview last week to work at a funeral home, because I don't know. Why not? I know it bothers a lot of people to work around the dead. It doesn't bother me at all. Never has. I mean, it's just a part of what happens. Everybody's going to die at some point, and something needs to happen with the bodies. I might as well be a part of that process. But it was for The interview itself was for doing more of the back office, like the paperwork and the filing, and making sure that everything is done correctly as far as the administrative stuff, more than anything else. Haven't heard back from them yet. I'm knocking on wood, because that would just be an amazing opportunity for me to break into the industry. I've also been putting out, oh gosh, since I found out last week, because it's been a week. I found out on was it Monday or was it Tuesday? It was Monday. So it's been a week and 2 days, 3 days, like a week and a half. In that time, I've put out probably about 20 applications, so I'm waiting to hear back from a lot of them. And we're kind of in flux. I have all of my equipment, because I was working from home, it's all boxed up. It's got the labels on it. It's just been an absolute downpour. Like, we had streets flooding. They actually had to close the streets down for a while yesterday, and the rain's not supposed to let up for the next, 3 days. It's supposed to keep going because there are storms off the coast. So I haven't been able to get the boxes themselves actually to the FedEx place. That's all getting ready to go back. I've been focusing on the stitching, like I said, and cleaning up some of the stuff around the apartment that I just have not been able to get to, because working out 40 hours a week while trying to, it's just difficult. Next week, we do have a camping trip planned. So next week, a video is going to be delayed for probably a day or two, because I'm just not going to upload using my cell phone. It's just not worth the hassle. So next week, instead of Friday, next week, instead of Friday, it's probably going to be Sunday or Monday before something gets uploaded. I apologize. And this week, it's getting uploaded a day early because of the storms and the rain. The apartment that I live in is known for the power going out and the internet dropping when the storms come through. So I'd rather get it done and uploaded and complete than to not have something at all. And let's see what else is going on. We went over to the in-laws for the holiday, had a nice holiday weekend. I made a cake for the first time in a while, and people enjoyed that. It was just a plain yellow cake with white icing. I love to bake, but since there's a diabetic in the house, I don't get to do I don't get to indulge as often as I would like. I really like doing sweets, and What else? Yeah, that's I think that's life in a nutshell. Wow. Okay. In that case, there's just not a whole lot going on. It's just life. We're trying to recover from this curveball and trying to keep a roof over our heads. Once the severance comes through, we'll be okay for at least another month. But it hasn't come through yet because I haven't returned the equipment yet. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Fingers crossed, knocking on wood. We'll get there. But thank you all for stopping in. I do appreciate everybody coming and spending time with me. It does mean a lot. If you like what you're hearing, you like what you see, you know what to do. There's the like button, there's the subscribe button. Recommend to friends. Don't recommend to friends. Recommend to enemies. I don't care. It's not going to bother me one little bit either way. And I guess I just Hope today it's been a good day. I hope today was better than yesterday. And I hope that tomorrow is better than today. And we'll see you next time.